In the big bilge tank, we'll keep you in the know. In the big bilge tank, we'll fix your techie woes.
Then we'll break things and we'll make things till we're all together raking, and
We'll raise a cup of grog down in the big bilge tank. In the big bilge tank, come and join our pirate crew. In the big bilge tank,
We will show you what to do.
and we'll hack it till we crack it.
we'll tell the world about it and forget to tidy up.
That's why it's now a bilge tank.
Okay, good to go, chaps.
Technology.
So what episode are we again?
Should we run the credits again, maybe? Or will we just sing them?
Anyone cares.
Hello, can everyone hear us?
No one's going to answer now. They don't care. They don't care anymore.
Yay!
We're out of focus again.
Audio,
Wow.
yeah, we're all out of focus. Right, I'll just start talking. So today we're going to be talking about this lovely Roberts radio. Paul's back. Do you want to just stay, Paul?
You could do dynamic focus, and we could be all dramatic and stuff, and you can zoom in on our faces.
So this started life as a, that's, you've nailed it, Paul, yeah, thank you. This started life as a Roberts R600 radio.
Roberts are a fabulous brand of radio, aren't they?
Yeah, so Roberts are a British manufacturer of lovely radios, basically. They've been around for, I don't know, I guess a good 75 years at least. This radio is almost 50 years old. They made this particular model between 1968 and 1973 or something like that. The details are in the blog post that is linked to in the description below. Richard's asking why we're so late.
Well, did you see?
You might have guessed that we had some technical difficulties.
Technical preparation, just standard.
Yeah, so this model's about 50 years old. I think Paul got this from an antique shop in Sheffield.
Paul's a magpie for such things.
I'm not sure, he'll probably say in the comments. And outwardly, it was in lovely condition. So it's got wood panels on the side. I think these are made of teak. It's got leather.
It's a bit of mahogany.
It's got leather on the top and the bottom. It's got a kind of aluminium speaker grill.
They really don't
on the
make
front.
these things like they used to, because some of the newer models I've seen get the little like no longer leather but leatherette finish around and chips and cracks off really easily.
Yeah.
Whereas this is ancient and it's fantastic
Whitby.
condition.
That's where you got it. So it's a vampire radio. Yeah, I mean the good thing about using leather on these is that leather is really hard wearing.
You can hear music because there is a radio on the set.
There's music coming from the radio. I'll turn it
Sandy
up.
would build a radio that doesn't work.
It works and everything. It's amazing. Here we go.
This is my favourite test radio station, Slay Radio. It's just back-to-back Commodore 64 remixes.
We just have to make sure we don't play it for too long or we get done for...
we don't,
we get
because they're
DMCA.
back-to-back Commodore 64 remixes,
Oh, right, okay, so
nobody cares.
Right, no cares. Yeah, so let's have a look at what used to be inside this radio. So this was the old top panel of the radio. So you can see it's in pretty good condition. If we go to the close-up,
Fantastic facsimile of it, actually.
you can see that on the back of it there's a few kind of scratches and whatnot that do actually show through to the front. So
Were those scratches applied when you took it apart, though, or were they already there?
yeah, some of them happened when I dismantled it, but it was a bit scratched. And the other thing was there are these little station marker stickers that have been stuck on it. I've absolutely no idea what kind of adhesive they use for them, but they are absolutely welded on there. I spent ages trying to peel them off.
The good old adhesive.
But they're absolutely stuck fast. So that's another reason why
After 50 years it's just fused with the plastic and become one.
So what I did was because we have laser cutters here obviously, I cut a new top panel which consisted of a 1mm clear top layer, then a 2mm black layer below to give some contrast to the etching that I did on it. And I've kind of, if I show the original one, you can see I've basically just copied it, but switched out the kind of branding for some.
You've brought it to a modern monochrome aesthetic as well, haven't you? That understated style. That's totally deliberate, of course.
So the original radio also had underneath the station bit, it had a kind of blue sticker below it. So what I did was I also cut a base layer that in the top of the radio there's a kind of metal chassis, and all of these bits kind of sit inside that.
Quite nicely put together, actually, once you finally got it apart.
So the whole thing goes together like that. And I got some new buttons that go in the recesses there, and a couple of rotary potentiometers to run the knobs, to control the knobs. On the final radio I've even laser cut a little recess in the blue plastic and put a bit of red perspex in to kind of fake the tuning,
as well.
the tuning stick on the original radio. So yeah, let's go back to the main cam. Yeah, so if we look at the top of the actual radio, you can see if I go in the right direction, you can see the red on this side. Yeah, the red kind of tuning indicator there. These are the buttons that I've added. They came from RS.
They're really nice, those buttons, but the feel of them isn't particularly great, is it?
They're not too bad actually. They The original ones were the
what do you call them? Mutually exclusive.
yeah, the kind of mutually exclusive ones. So the three middle ones were for AM, FM, and shortwave. And basically, when you press one of them in, it popped up the other two. And then when you press another one, then it popped the other two up. So there was only ever one kind of one active at the one time. The left and right ones were, what were they? Tone and AFC, whatever AFC is. I
haven't the faintest idea.
Can't really think what AFC is. So I'm sure someone will tell us in the comments.
Before my time.
There was also the hole for the aerial in the original one. Because we don't have the aerial in it anymore, I just didn't cut that hole. There was also a headphone jack as well, and I've not had it. I could have left that in, and I could have wired that up.
But you could change that to be out the back.
I decided not to. On the back of the radio, there was this. I'll just turn it round so you can see the back. This metal grill was on there. So what I did was I took that out, and I thought that would be an ideal place to put a panel mount USB jack to power it. So basically I didn't have to kind of like drill into the actual radio enclosure at all. I just popped this out, laser cut a new clear panel to go in here, and then attached it in with the original metal frame.
That USB connector is quite fitting for that style of appliance. It feels like what they would have used if USB were available at the time. The big, beefy USB connector. Darren Hill asks why you used potentiometers and not encoders.
Basically just to make it more like the original radio. The original radio had...
Who even are these bits?
Here we go. So that's one of the original rotary potentiometers that was in it, and these ones have a switch. I can't actually. It's so stiff I can't actually turn it. But they had a switch when you got right down to the bottom to completely switch the speaker off.
Yeah,
as well.
That style thing is nice.
So the ones I've got don't have that. Yeah, I just picked them because they have a kind of obvious beginning and end, which just makes it easier to map to the volume control in software.
Right. Rotary encoders, let's be honest, they do also skip, and they're a little bit tricky to read directly with the Pi.
Yeah, they're a bit of a pain in the neck. So, what is inside it? James is asking what's inside it. So. You can probably see that there is there's a Pi Zero, there's a speaker pHAT, and there is an Enviro pHAT. So the Enviro pHAT, you might think that's a bit of a weird thing to put inside it, but that has an ADC on it, and that's what's reading the two rotary potentiometers. The buttons are wired direct to the GPIO on the Pi. And the speaker pHAT is just running the speaker. So that has a digital DAC, an amp on it, and that is powering the speaker directly. So
it's a fairly hefty. Well, we demonstrated an even bigger speaker, but that's a fairly hefty speaker you're running directly from speaker.
So the speaker pHAT itself has it comes with a little speaker, but if you want to wire it up to your own speaker, then you can basically just it comes as a kit with the speaker separate. So all you have to do is not wire that speaker in and just wire to the two pads that are on the back of it. And we had a I can't remember where it was. Someone was asking. I think it was on the forums actually about which way to wire a speaker up if you're going to wire a speaker to a separate speaker to speaker pHAT. And the answer to that is that it doesn't actually matter because it's only a single speaker. If you had two speakers, then you would have to wire both of them up the same way. Otherwise, you might get phase issues. I believe. But when you only have one speaker, basically it doesn't matter which way you wire it up. So, yeah.
It's ultimately just a strand of coiled wire.
So what else was in the original video? So there were...
I'm surprised you haven't opened that yet. That looks like a challenge.
Yeah, it's... The back of the circuit board's amazing. It's all kind of... I presume these are hand-drawn traces on the circuit board. And it's all kind of hand-soldered. All of the resistors have got hand-painted colour bands on them.
This looks like something Volport would design, which is not a slight. It's a
this is the original tuning stick
hand string.
Which I wish I'd taken a photo of this before I cut it off, actually, because basically what was inside the top of it was two kind of pulleys, like a kind of pulley system, and this cord was wound round it. It's even got a spring on it to kind of tension it correctly, and then it's got a little bit of wood on it with this red stick that's glued onto it, and that's what showed you.
That seems super tenuous. Like if that string slipped at all, then your indicator would be totally out of alignment with your dial.
So that's really nice. I would have liked to have kept that, but the kind of the spools that it was wound round were actually riveted into the metal chassis, so I actually had to drill them out so that I could fit the new potentiometers in. There was also the aerial, which the top of it snapped off, so that was another reason that I didn't decide to keep that, because it was kind of useless anyway. There is a big, I believe this is the ferrite rod that acts as the AM.
Who's trying the radio? Stop it.
I think this acted as the AM tuning, aerial, and you can see it's got kind of wound copper coils around it as well.
Reminds me of those crystal radio projects you used to get.
Yeah, it's basically just the same as those crystal radios that you can buy the kits.
Attach it to the radiator for some reason.
These are the original buttons, so you can see what I was talking about, that when you push one down the others pop up. And then the two end ones are kind of on-off switches.
Quite clever that the Mutex system is entirely within that front portion with a little sliding doobry what's it. I think I figured out how it works, but I couldn't explain it. I had to draw it on paper.
Yeah, I think the mechanism must be inside this metal
super clever
bit here. But yeah, it's very crafty the way that they actually work, because they look like they're physically separated there.
Magic, witchcraft.
And
that's why stuff isn't as good.
On the bottom there was a kind of wooden panel that actually had a kind of like rotating disc on it, so you can spin it round.
Lazy Susan when we
were yeah.
That's quite a clever little idea.
Because of the way that I've mounted the boards inside it, there wasn't really a way that I could keep that. And you can see the other thing that's in there is a Wi-Fi dongle for the for the Pi Zero. So that's kind of, there's really not much inside it, and not much to see really. Like I said, it uses a panel mount USB A to micro B cable. We sell them in the shop. So the micro B end is powering the Pi Zero. And then I've got this Spark Fun Hydra.
Or the Cerberus, I can't
it's either the Cerberus or the Hydra. We sell these in the shop as well. These are great. They've got USB A, micro B and mini B. And they also act as a hub, I think, as well, so you can have
they do in fact have a USB hub built into them, which is very crafty. I think they've gone for the idea that most USB supports provide more current than they should, or
Yeah.
something like that, so that you can put multiple devices in there. That
so-
pretty much will work.
Let's have a look at the. Let's turn it up a bit and let's have a look at the buttons on the top. So this one here is play and also pause. Let's tick this.
Big buttons. When you run the Python scripts through your SSH section.
I did, but it should be in the background.
What you get from doing a live demo?
Yeah, these buttons were working earlier. Let's try again. It seems to have ground to a halt. But anyway,
You have no control.
yeah, we'll just pretend the buttons work. They do work. The way that I've done them is there's a plugin for Volumio. So this is running Volumio, the radio, which is a Linux distribution that is designed as a kind of audiophile music system.
The joys of buttons.
It has web radio, it has things like plugins for Spotify, you can play local MP3 files, and it has a Spotify plugin as well. There's also a plugin for GPIO buttons, which is what I'm using to control the buttons on this, that were working.
Did it have the
but-
trouble that it didn't allow you to set the pull states of the GPIO pins or something like that?
Yes, there was I think the way they've written the plugin, basically all it does is detect a change in the state of the pin, so it doesn't really care whether it's high or low, and basically I had to pull them all high.
This involves a separate Python script. didn't it?
Initially, yeah.
Is it?
So I had to write a Python script to pull all of the pins high so that they could then be pulled low when I actually pressed them. So that was a bit of a pain, and I also got kind of stuck in a permanent, a kind of infinite loop where I'd actually pulled the buttons low, and whenever I booted it up, the shutdown button just got pulled, was getting pulled low, and it was shutting itself down. So I then had to take the SD card out, put it in a different Pi, pull all of them high. It was a bit of a pain. I'll probably write a follow-up blog about all of the software side of this, because there's not really much detail in the blog post about that.
Should definitely have more of a look at the GPIO plugin.
It's just-
It'd be nice to make that work reliably.
Yep. So I've written a blog post all about this, and it's
Some really nice photos. I love those.
It's got some shiny photos of the original components. A warning saying under no circumstances should any attempt be made to service this module, which I guess I didn't really do.
You haven't attempted to
I
service
just-
it, which I'm surprised, because I would have the lid off that quick sharp if I saw a warning label like that.
Yep.
That badge, that laser cut badge.
So the other thing is that we're using the original speaker, which I think is a 5 ohm speaker, and it's I think 5 ohm 1 watt I think, but you can hear it really. So that's 50% volume. So it does go quite loud. So you can find out all the details there. We've also got a link to, this is really interesting, this is the original data sheet.
Oh wow, this is like back when stuff had maintenance manuals and stuff.
Yeah, so it's got the schematic.
Sort of stuff that Dave Jones, the EEV blog Dave Jones, that is, pours over.
So this is how it was when I opened it up. So you can see all of the bits.
That's what it looked like before you trashed it.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Oh, James Mitchell wants to know how you did the badge.
Oh, yeah,
Exclamation mark, exclamation mark,
badge,
exclamation mark.
So
Oh, nice.
The way that I did that is with this, I think it's called Metal Graph.
It really looks. Is that actually metal on the top? Because it looks dead convincing.
It's a very thin layer of brushed steel on the top. Below that is black perspex. And basically, when you etch the top layer off it, then it reveals the black underneath.
So you get that two-stage logo.
Yeah. So what I've done, you can't really see it. You might see it if I kind of angle it, but there's basically a black outline. It's really hard to
stick it in the
see
close up. See if that works.
Yeah, let's
do close up.
Yeah, so you can see if I.
You can't really see it against the black background of the radio.
Yeah.
That's the trouble, isn't it?
It's really hard to get the. So there's actually a very thin black outline all the way around this metal shiny logo, and then obviously
very, very nice.
it's just a kind of cut straight through round the outside of it. The font that I used, I think, is called Hamburger Heaven, which was the closest one that I could find to the original badge that was on it. So yeah, I think that's about it. You can pick up these radios for not very much money on eBay, maybe like 25 to 50 quid. The key is to get one that's broken, because generally they are sold for much less.
A lot cheaper, and you'll probably feel less bad about ripping it to pieces.
Exactly. There's also another company that are called Hacker, who were the sister company to Roberts, and produced very similar looking radios, but they tend to be a bit cheaper because they aren't as well known, but they look very similar. They're kind of all wood and leather, the same as the Roberts ones are. Someone's asking about how do you etch it. So etching is basically just the laser cutters have a power setting, which is how much power is going through the laser, and that determines the thickness of material that you can cut. And there's also a speed setting. So, for example, when you cut 3mm perspex, you use a power of about 70 to 80 and a speed of 20. When you etch, you use a much faster speed and a much lower
scans back and forth,
a much lower power, and it scans back and forth really quickly, and basically just burns off the very top layer of the acrylic. So when you have acrylic that has like a thin top layer like this, and then a thicker layer below, then it basically just gets rid of the.
This is the same technique we used to do the artwork on the camera as well as Spike.
Yep.
Basically.
It basically just like burns off the top layer and reveals the layer below it. So that's also the way that I did this top panel as well, and that's etched on the back, and that just makes it look better when you look through the top. If you actually etch on the back,
it does look very good.
You basically just have to
perfectly smooth on the top.
You have to flip your artwork
and
then etch it on the other side in reverse. Someone's asking about how much do you need to spend to get a laser cutter that'll do that. You can actually get fairly cheap ones on eBay that are quite low power that would probably be able to do etching but not cutting. I think Les, who's watching, might actually have bought one of them.
I think Les
so he might be able to comment about how well they work. So yeah, it was.
So these are a little bit more expensive than the eBay stuff you get, but also way better maintained and black.
So they should be able to cut, I think, up to like 6mm perspex or MDF. These laser cutters.
Yeah, these are redonkulous.
I think the ones
they are not for the inexperienced. So they need extraction and all sorts of precautions.
Yeah.
But you can then set up a business laser cutting badges that say stuff on them, as long as you have a reasonable artistic streak.
Yep. Yeah, I think the only other thing that I've not mentioned is about the volume knobs. So basically I've got a Python script that is reading the ADC value, and the ADC is wired up to the two rotary potentiometers, and that gives a reading between 0 when it's all the way down and 5 volts when it's all the way at the top. So the rotary potentiometers have 3 pins. They've got 5 volts and ground, and the middle pin is the kind of output pin, if you like. So that's the one that's wired up to the ADC on Enviro pHAT. And then that reading between 0 and 5 is just multiplied by 20 to get a volume to get a volume between 0 and 100. And then that's passed straight into ALSA, which sets the volume.
You basically just use subprocess and literally run the amixer command as if you were running it on terminal, which gets the job done. And there are libraries to do it, but they just do that and abstract it away.
Yeah. So this is Volumio, which I think we mentioned the other week when we first spoke about this project. For the most part, it works really well. It's really good for internet radio, and I think for local files it should work pretty well as well.
You had getting Spotify running, didn't you?
The Spotify plugin is quite flaky. AirPlay is not all that great either.
I definitely had intermittent problems with AirPlay in general,
let's just try
GitHub SharePort sync has always worked for me.
Let's just give AirPlay a shot now. It may not work.
We've made horrible changes to the sound configuration and stuff, so we shall see.
Right, let's try this.
And Darren Hill would very much like to see your scripting and code. Is it working?
It has popped up.
This is where we're going to trigger content ID, isn't it?
Yeah, probably.
Play something obscure.
Right, let's try that. It may also be very loud because the volume might not be set properly on that. No, it's not working. Yeah, so AirPlay and Spotify are a bit flaky, and also Phil had to do quite a lot of work to get the all of the ALSA settings properly set up.
Yeah,
and it's a bit like a house of carefully balanced house of cards, where if you try to change anything, then the whole thing just collapses.
This is what happens when you make manual changes to the underpinnings of something that's supposed to be simple.
So I guess if you're just using it to kind of do normal stuff on a Pi, then it probably works really well. But if you try to prod it at all, then it's a bit temperamental about it. I think there's another one called Rune Audio. Is that the name of it?
Yeah, there's several distributions actually as well. I can't remember what any of them are called right off the top of my head.
I think the other popular one is Rune Audio. We've not tried that
as well. Totally drawing a blank. I think it begins with H. Does it begin with H? It might begin with H.
Yeah, so I think that's about all for this week. I think you can read all about it in the blog post that's linked below. There's links to all of the stuff that I used to actually do it, and there's details in the blog post about how I've actually done it, explained in a lot more of a sensible way than I have today. So yeah.
Do you have any of your code currently posted with the blog post, or is that
I do not. I will do another blog post about how all of the software is set up.
It does warrant another blog post, I think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There's probably more work to be done on that front anyway, to try and get everything working in a way that people can replicate without it all collapsing down on itself like a house of cards.
Yep. So, yeah.
There we go. Rune Audio, Max Play, Pi Music Box, Pi Core Player. There's definitely another one that's on the edge of my mind, and I'll remember it as soon as we fade to black. And then you'll just hear me go,
that's it. Yeah. Yeah, so, yep, I think that's about it. So,
it's a very nice radio, what you have built.
Yeah.
Making off with that.
We should auction it for charity. No, I think we'll
demo
keep
radio. We shall take it with us.
Maybe we should do that, make another one, and then auction that for charity. That would be quite a nice thing to do. Yeah, so in the meantime, don't forget to like.
I'm trying to figure out which. Comment.
And 3, 2, 1, subscribe!
And
we'll see you next week.
Particular order. Yeah.
Yeah.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.